How do you bring a great idea for a Bitcoin-based business to market? For 10 years, Bitcoin Startup Labs has been helping people build investment-ready startups in record time. Travis is working with the team right now on his latest brainstorm, and today we're going to welcome the founder, Albert Liang, to the show to discuss the steps to become a cohort in Bitcoin Startup Labs. Let's get in the weeds, find out more today on this special episode number 735 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Republic of Bad Cryptopia. Sir Lord Joel Comm here. Sir Lord Travis Wright, right there.
Happy anniversary, baby. Got you on my mind.
What's a cohort, Travis? What's a cohort?
What's a cohort is it's sort of like the group. A cohort is a group of people that are in a group, right?
So what's a hort?
I say group twice. It's a group of people who are in a group.
Yeah, what's a woman?
What's
Who identifies as a woman. What's a hort? Like there's a host and a co-host. So
Yeah.
you got a hort and a cohort.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so basically it's the folks that they've gone through and all these applications and try to find people to that are the top minds. And then they bring those folks in and then start educating them almost like a PhD in doing a startup. It really is. It's like sitting in an advanced college course because they're bringing in amazing people every day, great presentations, and expanding the network. Like, oh my God, we got some great people going to be coming up on future podcasts for sure because of all these interesting people that I ran across.
More horts that you're going to cohort.
More horts. We're going to have lots of horts.
So this is very interesting stuff because you've come up with this idea and you applied with the Bitcoin Startup Labs and you are a cohort with them now.
I'm in the cohort. I'm not a cohort. I'm in the cohort.
You are in the cohort. You're cohortable.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this, I was thinking about this, is that, and I think we even mentioned this in the show, because this is our 7th anniversary episode right here. And
happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy bad anniversary, happy anniversary. How old are you now?
Yeah. So, they started back in the day. I always like to say, on July 16th, 2021, July 16th, 2021. I said to Joel, I would message him and I'm like, hey, how long until we do the Joel and TW crypto show? And you messaged me back. Hey, call me.
Get
I got
lost,
an idea.
loser. I said, get out of here, hoser. Get out of here,
said,
hort.
I got an idea. And I was like, oh, is it the idea that I just said?
I don't want to be your cohort. Not interested.
Yeah. So that was July 16th.
That wasn't the idea. Like you said, let's do a show. My idea was I know what to call this show. Immediately,
that was your idea.
Immediately, I thought Bad Crypto because I had been listening to the Bad Christian podcast, and they're basically, they were a pastor and Christian band members, but they asked questions about their beliefs. They challenged their beliefs. They deconstructed what they were taught, and I'm like, we're going to get it, and they did it with humor, right? They did it by asking questions with their mind and by being funny. I'm like, this is us, but on the crypto space. So I knew immediately I wanted us to be Bad Crypto. That was the idea.
That was the idea. So all these years I've been all like, I tell Joel an idea and he goes, hey, I got this idea. And I was like, wait a second. I just typed that idea.
And it instantly became Bad Crypto.
Oh, you did. That was true. Instant Bad Crypto. And then we had the branding, the website, the social channels, all done almost that night. And then the next day we recorded it and then we set all that shit up. And then on July 18th was the very first episode, which was great. And so on this July 18th, it is the closing up of the 7th year. And then on the 19th of this year is when I'll be doing the coin research on the demo day. So it's literally New Year's Day of the 8th year of Bad Crypto, and it's really taken that. I think it's really taken the whole vibe of Bad Crypto for the crypto curious, and now more crypto curious are coming into the crypto space in theory during this bull run than ever. And if they don't get educated properly, they're going to lose their ass. And so it's like,
Right.
got to
Well, I'll tell
help
you
you.
what.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this some more on the other side of our interview here with Albert Liang and Bitcoin Startup Labs.
All right, today we got an interesting interview as always. We're bringing you the heat. And today we are chatting with someone who's become a good friend and mentor of mine, Albert Liang of the Bitcoin Startup Lab. We're going to talk about today about the process of it and how it all works. Albert, welcome to Bad Crypto, good sir.
Thanks for having me, Travis and Joel.
Yes, thank me too, because I'm also here over on the side.
Joel is the key one. He's the glue that's kept us together for 7 years.
Super glue.
Yeah,
Great
you
stuff.
guys are having an anniversary coming up, right? Mid-July.
Yeah. Are you
exciting
getting us a present?
Yeah, it's a secret though. It's a secret.
Is it Bitcoin?
It might be.
That's our favorite gift, matter of fact. All right, so the Bitcoin Startup Lab, we got connected. I think somebody from your team shot me a DM and said, "Hey, we're launching another cohort. We think you're interesting." And I was like, "Who, me? Did you mean to send this to Joel?" and and we ended up setting up a call. Had a great call with you. And so tell us a little bit about what it's a pre-accelerator. What exactly is Bitcoin Startup Lab?
Yeah, it is what the name implies. We're super focused on growing the global Bitcoin economy through empowering founders. I don't say startups yet because to your point about what is a pre-accelerator, we start at the idea stage. And just to be objective, most of the ideas coming in are not startup ideas. So we spend, that's probably one of our biggest differentiators on market is we help founders pivot and explore the Bitcoin ecosystem until they find an idea that people or their users really want to come to life. Right. So foundation building is a very heavy component. It takes about 1/3 of the 3-month program.
I see a lot of names here as I scroll through your ecosystem collaborators, and I know this is partners that work with you in a lot of, different ways, but there's some names as we scroll through here, that I recognize, On-Chain Monkey, NFT Project, Rootstock, I recognize, let's see, Ballet Wallet, that's Bobby Lee's wallet, right? Crypto Potato website, Lightning Labs, and so on and so on. So when you accept somebody into the program, or first of all, how does somebody apply for the program? How would they know that they're ready to be part of the Startup Lab?
That's a really, really great question. I don't know if we're ever ready to be a startup founder, but I know what I've seen in successful founders is they just get started. And as the record shows, I haven't met anybody who starts with a great idea. But because they get started, they're able to pivot or evolve that idea to eventually become something people want. Right. So the answer is for us, we want you if you've become really great at something, right? Like for example, you guys, you've showed the tenacity and the grit to run your show for 7 years, right? And you guys have tried different
I think it's
businesses.
more stubbornness and foolishness.
Yeah, well, that's what all the humble people say. But
Foolhardiness might be.
yeah, but it does take a few failures, like for example, like trying to side projects, like even like selling lemonade when we're young, or trying to go door to door for a car wash, or doing something entrepreneurial, right? Those things tip us off on, hey, do they really have this in their blood? It's not something that you can fake. It just happens, right? So we look for that grit, or sometimes you could call it stubbornness, right? Mixed with some intellectual curiosity, or some kind of flexibility, right? Those are really the two things we look at. So it's actually a misconception for people to think like I had to have the perfect idea to join the Bitcoin Startup Lab. No, Actually, 99% of success cases that anyone's heard on social media, on a website, or whatever through investors, guess what? That was not the idea they started with. On
So,
average, people hit 5 times.
so somebody
Yeah.
comes to you and they apply, and then if accepted, you say, okay, this is what we're going to do for you, and kind of break down what that looks like. And then Travis, I want you to speak to what your experience has been.
Yeah. If it's just a one-liner, we help people turn bad ideas into good ideas and then make them investment ready
No,
in
give me
record time.
multiple lines, like,
Multiple
break
lines.
down like
Like
what.
how do we help people create investment ready
He's used to
startup?
drilling it down to the finest elevator pitch.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, let's take the stairs or even the
We're gonna
escalator
take the
instead of
stairs
the
All
elevator,
right, let's take the
and kind
stairs.
of
So,
walk us through what actually happens. What, let's say I were to, apply and be accepted, what can I expect?
all right. So let's say you get accepted, right? You filled out, it took 10 minutes to fill out the form. You got the 20-minute interview, right? And now you're off to races in a cohort, right? Um, the, it's about transformation, right? If we look at any founder when we start, we've developed a lot of bad habits, or I wouldn't say bad habits, but these are habits that are optimized not for the ideation investment ready stage of a startup, right? So the first thing is to become aware what are the immutable steps of building an investment ready startup, right? We have it down to science because currently we're on our 26th cohort globally. We've done 5 total in Bitcoin. We're recruiting for our number 6. So we've done this more times than just about anyone in the world. So because of that, in the first 21 cohorts is completely agnostic with AI companies, with drone companies, with beachwear companies, with restaurant SaaS companies, is across the board. If you start an idea, we wanted you and we coach you to become investment ready. Right? And the reason why we did that for 21 cohorts was because we wanted to find which parts of the startup are immutable, meaning that it doesn't matter what industry you're from, what culture you're from, or even what time you're from. If you're creating a startup that could become disruptive, a game changer, right, could potentially become $1 billion, they're immutable steps. Now, at the same time, there are also parts that are industry specific or era specific or culturally specific, right? We take all those out. That's not the science. Those are dependent on culture, time, industry, right? So we took all these hundreds of startups, looked at the overlapping pieces, and those are the immutable pieces, right? So once we become aware of those, now we have a game plan. We have a goal in the 3 months to achieve certain milestones. The first milestones that we found to be pivotal and to be absolutely essential for every single startup that has become successful through our program, or even case studies such as Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, whatever, right? We found that they started with a fulcrum, right? That's our our insider jargon on the beginning of a real investment ready startup, right? So there's multiple. Should I take the stairs on these, or should I
look,
skip?
before you go take the stairs, I would like to talk about so maybe put a pause on the stairs
Yeah.
right there, because I've historically had ideas, but I just make assumptions that, oh yeah, this is good. People are going to love this. And I think that I personally didn't know how to necessarily build or grow a startup. I've tried a couple times, but then I always, if you're stuck in your own little island, you're like, all right, this is not really a business. But the fulcrum was the one thing that really sort of drilled it down. And, the fulcrum about, what is it that what is the biggest pain point that your customer has that you're trying to solve for, right? Once you can drill that down and then start interviewing those potential customers, that was like, oh ding, I've never even thought to do that. That is ingenious. I should talk to the people I might be selling to someday. Who knew?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's part of the fulcrum. That's like one of probably the most important part of the fulcrum. Yeah.
And what you're saying is when you're getting people inside the Bitcoin Startup Lab, most people, they don't have their fulcrum. You said you've never met anybody who's necessarily had until you met us. No, just kidding. So it's like you're looking
some
for
people are pretty close. Some
entrepreneurial
people are
people,
pretty close.
essentially,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Looking
But
for those people who have that spark. I remember back in the day, Joel, do you remember this back in the day, that those Olympic what was it, like the Olympic Club or something, and they would have all of these magazines or like gift wrapping and you go around, knock on your neighbor's doors and try to sell it, and if you sell like 50 of them you get like a bike. Dude, I remember that, and I
Oh
got like
gosh.
47 of them, and I was so pissed. I was so close to getting the prize that I wanted, and I didn't get it. But that was really, I think, my first taste of even being an entrepreneur was that. Can you imagine today? Hey, kids, just go walk around the neighborhoods and sell shit to random people. Like that ain't, that ain't flying today.
Yeah, I remember that. For me, it was like selling chocolate bars.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I almost got first place, but then like down the street we had a really rich neighbor who went to the same school, and his parents like bought like 100.
Oh,
And then I became second place.
And that
that's
that kid today, because he did not learn the what hard work meant, is homeless and eating nothing but chocolate. So sucks to be him.
there we
So
go.
so Trav, how did you discover the Bitcoin Startup Lab? And then talk a little bit, like let's talk about the project you're working on, at least kind of give a preview of it if you're ready. And
Yeah.
tell me what your participation in the Startup Lab is meaning to you.
Yeah. Well, I know I feel bad because Albert's stuck on the stairs. He was keep
It's
taking the
okay. He
stairs.
can. There's food there.
He's
There's
still paused
There's
snacks.
on the
food there.
stairs.
I'm gonna save place on the stairs.
There's a
That's
snack
good.
bar.
That's good.
He's good.
Yeah, I think maybe Scarlett or Norbert, one of them, really reached out to me, and I actually had a couple people reach out to me, and I was like, "Yo, I'm already chatting with you guys. I think I've already chatted with Albert. What do you mean?" So they're diligent out there looking for interesting people, and so then what happens is you have a 15-minute call with Albert, and you kind of go through and have some conversations about it. And at that time, I was really kind of working on two ideas. Spiritual technologies, spiritualtech.io was one of them. And I'm like, hey, I think that we can basically set our intentions up and then put those on as a Bitcoin rune or something. And then my other idea, because I was still ruminating around the idea of coinresearch.ai, because I was still in that process originally of finding my researchers and going through that process, because I just got scammed on this Blast L1 launch. Literally, Dex Tools and Dex Screener was advertising, oh, the new Blast L1 is live, which it was, but all the tokens on it were all scams. You could put money in, but you couldn't take money out. And so I lost like 10 ETH on that because I could put it
Oh
in.
man,
And then I was
sorry to
like,
hear
wait a
that.
second. I should pull some out. And I was like, oh God, I should always put some in a little and then try to take it out to see if it's a scam. And I didn't. And I knew better. I think I was stoned that day, really. And I made a bad stone decision. It was an expensive business lesson, Joel. And then it turned into, I literally found a couple of dudes who was awesome and went to my other partner Shane and his guy, and we were and Eric, we were having conversations about it. He was like, dude, I love these research reports, these are great. And so it just kind of evolved. And then I went back to Albert and them and I said, hey, I don't think we're going to do spiritual tech. I think it'd be more intelligent to do coin research, and here's why. And so it's really tore us down to the foundation and then kind of built it back up from using, as Albert says, that sort of scientific method. So maybe Albert, would you talk about that sort of the scientific process of how to build an effective startup? Because I think that's what made sense to us and how we were working on this thing.
Yeah, no, you did a great job putting together an all-star team. I mean, you guys are gonna kill it. I love the name Coin Research. It's to the point, the value you guys are creating.
Thank you.
And obviously we love everything at the intersection of crypto, Bitcoin, and AI, right? So you're hitting on the trends. You guys displayed incredible flexibility, right? The spiritual project is interesting, right? But after you spoke to your customers, right, and talked to your team, you guys decided to pivot to something that maybe is more direct and that people really want right now, right? Or like it's definitely clear to me that you and your team, you guys have this founder market fit where you guys have the resources. Your resources are geared to this project. So that's part of the process, right? That's part of the science is exploring in a safe environment, having those scientific milestones so you know what to explore. So it's not random exploration, right? Exploring on all right, how am I going to get this milestone? And this milestone is the foundation for the next milestone, right? So the first one is fulcrum. In a nutshell, what specific use case are you solving for? So for you guys, right now, it's very hard to find the right crypto projects to invest in. Right? That's the use case, right? Like people are, the use case is people, the task they're trying to complete is that they want to get information to make better investment decisions. Perfect use case, right? It's happened before. They're trying to do it, but right now, when they're trying to do it, they find it's very cumbersome. What source of information is correct, and
So
how
much
correct is
information
it?
everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
like
like, well,
where do I go? It's
who do
like
you trust? Like, it's so hard to figure out.
yeah, you have like 10 different websites open, right? And you're trying to piece it together. It's a cumbersome process, right? It's painful, it's time consuming. And you guys are going to simplify that. So that's the pain point, right? So you have the use case, the customer segment is that's also part of the fulcrum, right? Is that people who are actively or regularly making investments, right? And so when they're doing this task, what's the big pain point? As we just said, you guys found out that it's very cumbersome. Multiple different sources, takes a lot of time. Shoot, the market has already changed by the time you finish your analysis, right? That doesn't work in crypto time. Right? So you guys, and then what's the best existing solution? Well, we just said it, right? This is the best existing solution is that you scour the market for information. Not good, right? So then that's also part of the fulcrum. There's a big arbitrage opportunity, right? The best existing solutions like hacked together. It's like a Frankenstein of information, right? And now you guys are going to use AI to compress that time, right? Down to one report, bang. You can manage it in a quick time feasible fashion so you can still capture the market when the opportunity is still there. Right. So that's first step, check, right? So during this time, there's actually no concept of the product. There's an idea of the product, but it's more about developing that customer empathy, like walking through the task as the user would experience it themselves, right? Developing that empathy and understand which steps of the process are the most painful. And from there, then we do a thorough market research, right? Of how they can solve it. And based on that, oh wow, there's a massive gap between like, let's say, AI technology and how it's being done. And that is the beginning of every startup idea, right? If you can connect the dots on all those, then you have the fulcrum. And then so the
So
next step is, yeah, I'll
yeah,
pause
no,
there.
please continue. You're walking up the stairs really nicely. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, thank you. So once we have the fulcrum, then we think about the technology we use, right? What kind of AI are we going to use? Well, what channel we're going to start on? Is it Bitcoin? Is it something else, right? What types of and all these things will influence how we build up the technology part of the product, right? Right. So between, but in order to gain insight, right, there's a step between the fulcrum and the product, or we call it a proof of concept, right? You want to do one shot, one kill, meaning that what's the biggest, one angel user, right? The person who needs the product the most. What's the biggest problem? The one biggest problem, and then what's that one killer feature that's going to solve the biggest problem? So 1 to 1 to 1. We'll call that one shot, one kill. Right. So before we actually start building product, what we're going to try to do is, all right, well, we found a few customers like this. Now, can we prove that we can find more customers like this, right? And this is where we could use social media, we could use waitlists, we use landing pages. There are many different ways, techniques that we share in the program onto, to get more users to show that it's a viable business. It's just not a few people that want it. But in your case, you guys already have a list of 200,000 people that want to use it, right? So that was a, killer traction, really, really well executed. And now you guys want to build a product because there's a real market and a real pain point, right? And so that's like, first 3 steps of the science. And of course, over the course of the program, there's co-founder matching. We always recommend that you bring in the devil that you know, right? Bring in someone you know, but we also, in our program, we also have over 50% co-founder matching rate for the teams that make it through the program and get funding, right? So we have a very strong co-founder matching component. In your case, I think you already had a great professional network, right? So you just put that together outside the program. And then the last stretch, right? I'm sort of fast forwarding because we're limited on time here, but the last stretch is just honing your pitch, right? Honing a pitch, it's 2.5 minute pitch, but a good pitch is worth 300 introductions, right? And it culminates into a demo day of over 300 pre-seed investors, focused pre-seed investors.
So
Right?
you
A lot.
so everybody gets an opportunity once they're brought to that level to give
Yeah.
that presentation. So Travis is going to be presenting coin research before these 300 people, and
Yeah.
then some of them are going to stand up and go, we want to participate in this. What is the structure of Bitcoin Startup Lab? I mean, this is not a not-profit, right? You guys somehow, if you bring a project to market, then you get a piece of the action, correct?
That's right. So we've pivoted on so many different business models over the 10 years, but we found the best business model is based on a meritocracy. I believe every startup should be run as a meritocracy, right? You do the work, you have results, you should get paid. If there's no results, then you don't get paid. It's the law of the jungle. It doesn't get more raw than that in the civilized world, right? The startup, is almost like modern warfare without the guns and blood, right? So for us, if we can help you hit certain milestones, the more milestones we help you hit, the more equity we can earn, right? Yeah.
I really like that model too, because a lot of people are like, some of these other ones, they're just going to take a big chunk sort of regardless. And that meritocracy approach that you're talking about is much better, because you're like, oh, if you succeed and you do this, then we're going to get this very small percentage. And then they're like, oh, and if you match with another co-founder, then we're going to get another little small, if we help you find investment. And so it's like, wow, you're actually invested in helping us get to where we need to be, because then you win. And I'll tell you what, one of the key things, Joel, has been sitting in these sessions, and there's normally like 3 hours or 4 hours every day, Monday through Thursday, sometimes Friday. And dude, Albert is bringing in some of the best minds, like people who've done, the CTO of Internet Computer Protocol, the head of Lightning Labs, and just brilliant minds coming in, dropping their supreme alpha. So I think that's what's been some of the key thing. It's like we're getting like a PhD or at least an MBA in building a startup by talking to all these other successful people and interacting, and it's been really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. That's part of the science. So in the beginning, you got the fulcrum, you got the scientific milestones every single startup has to get to in order to build an investment in very startup in record time. That collapses down the timeline, right, to a minimal. Usually 4 to 6 months. If you make it through an entire program, hit all the milestones, you can raise $1 to $3 million, right? That's part of it, but it also builds a certain amount of awareness, right? We're actually removing all the wasted moves, right? And then we're giving it to everyone the most optimal sequence to do these things, right? Like after you take the program, you could see like how if you reverse some things, it could be disastrous, right? And then, but what happens is, the first time I realized that there is a pattern for startups, my mind just went into like it went to chaos mode. I'm like, oh geez, like I was doing this wrong the whole time, right? And then my mind is scrambling for new information to try to make sense of it. And that's why we have so many mentors, right? 3 to 4 talks each day, 4 days a week, right? So it's roughly 12 to 15 talks per week. But as Travis mentioned, these are industry leaders, people who
For
have done
12 weeks. So it's
yeah,
just like, so you're
yeah,
getting 100 plus, you're getting like 100 hours of some of these top. That's what's been crazy. It's like,
yeah.
and then some people are done and you're like, oh my God, I could watch you for 5 hours. Like this is not nearly enough. And then the next person comes on and equally awesome. That's what's been crazy about it.
Yeah. So the point I was making there is that once our minds realize that what we've been doing is not completely optimized, and now we want to optimize it. Now we're motivated to optimize it, and we have a roadmap to optimize it. Our minds become very malleable, and it becomes a better sponge, right? And this is why we have so many great mentors and speakers to help fill in the gaps that we're missing. It's foundation building, right? So we're focused on Bitcoin. We do have a component of AI metaverse, but when you get over 100 talks in a short amount of time, what happens is that your mind is transformed, and now you have a very great snapshot of where the Bitcoin ecosystem innovation is, right? So you know what's been done, what can't be done, what needs to be done, right? Where the gaps are, right? So that terrain building and that foundation building is also fundamental to our success. Like almost 50% of the founders that can graduate. We'll call it, they can get through gauntlet, can raise funding or go to an accelerator.
Well,
So
it's going to be exciting for us to do a show on coin research once Travis is at that place where after he's presented and has got his his seed funding. The website for you guys to check this out is btcstartuplab.com, the world's #1 Bitcoin pre-accelerator. You can apply to BSL here. You can see a list of those they have collaborated with, as well as a long list of mentors that have helped share their knowledge and expertise with those that are in the program. Trav, you got any final questions for Albert before we let him take the elevator back down to the ground floor?
Well, I think that, it's just been an interesting process. I think that that's really what it is. And I think that there's so many brilliant minds that listen to Bad Crypto over the years that probably have some interesting ideas, or definitely some innovative folks. Matter of fact, Joel, I don't know if you remember from our from Blockchain Heroes. Do you remember Bond's manifest from our community?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I saw he's in there. Bonds is in there.
right,
He's doing
right.
He's doing an L1
Lion,
thing on
yeah.
Bitcoin. It's
Bonds,
crazy.
yeah.
I was like, Bonds manifest, what's up, bro? And
Yeah.
small world. So it's cool. I think that if people who are listening right now, if you have an idea and you think that, wow, you know what, I'd like to learn more about all this stuff. Because here's the thing. I'm not super technical from the back end side of things. I don't know how to code smart contracts. I got the front end marketing side of things down, but I just connect with people who have. But there's so many types of people in this group that's where Albert's talking about how to connect you with other co-founders. So if you're maybe a front end guy, then maybe you get to connect to somebody who's really good at developing stuff. And so I think there's a good symbiotic balance to that. And I just want to say, thank you for the opportunity, Albert. And I know that our team, brought on Shane and Eric and then Artie. Once I found Artie, I mean, that was really it. I was like, dude, you were the former VP of research for Three Arrows Capital. What? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, dude, that kind of sucks, bro. Cause they were shitty. And he was like, I wasn't that guy. And I was like, well, which was hilarious. And then that's really where I was like, wait a second. He showed me these reports and I was like, dude, we're doing this is some great coin research here. And so then I showed Shane and Eric and they were like, whoa. And then I was like, oh, coinresearch.ai is available. Literally, we stumbled into it. It was never we're going to plan to build this thing. It was just like, man, screw those scammers. I'm pissed. I want to hire people to do research on every single AI and real world asset and all of these different narratives that meme coins. Let's research it. And it just turned into something bigger than I thought that it could be. And then we ended up bringing in Chris Snook, introduced you to him, and now he's a key member of the community. We brought in Elise Sam, and then we have Artie and Steven, our guys on the team. So we got it's like a family in there now. And that thing's
yeah. That's how our family gets stronger, right? We bring in the most talented people in our network into the Bitcoin Startup Lab community.
Well, that's why we didn't bring in Joel.
Yeah.
No, Joel's too big. I was like, I'm not bringing in Joel until I know I got this one right. So
some of us are over the hill. So that's Hey, Albert, thanks a lot for coming on and sharing and supporting my boy Trav. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, Travis did most of the heavy lifting. We're just here. We just have signposts, So great job to Travis and your entire coinresearch.ai team. The one ask I have is beyond succeeding, right, is when you guys do arrive on this project and beyond, come back like the previous students and come share your knowledge with the next wave or next cohort, next batch of founders going to the Bitcoin Startup Lab. That's actually why we've been doing this for 10 years. I did this as a bespoke one-on-one consultancy 10 years ago. That's how I got started. But with the simple vision in mind that, hey, if I help one person at what I call the bad idea stage, it's just not a startup idea. Maybe we shouldn't call it bad, but it's not a startup idea yet, right? At the -1, some people call it -1 stage. Then when they arrive, then they will be socialized, or they will have the habit like, oh, how did I get here? Someone helped me at the -1 stage, and then they'll want to come back and share their knowledge at the -1 stage. So imagine if every single Riot founder in the world just spends a few hours a year sharing their knowledge with people at the -1 stage, potentially, I like to predict that maybe one day all the worthwhile, valuable innovation could come to life in our world, and then that will take our society to the next level.
I
It'll
think
really
what you
bring us
just
into
said is
abundance.
poetry. If John Lennon were to write Imagine today, you would be the lyricist.
Well, that's too kind. Hopefully we can bring this to fruition. But thank you, Joel, and thank you, Travis. You guys are bringing us one step closer to that future.
So this is really exciting for you, Trav. And in the very near future, we're going to do a show about coin research and show people what that's all about, what your vision is, and where you think this is going.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I appreciate that. And then also, you got some travels coming up. I got some travels coming up, so we might actually be popping in with some additional co-hosts along the way, or maybe we might run one solo for a bit. But the space is going so it's so wild that we can't step away for too long. So we don't want to do that. And really just going with the ethos of helping out those crypto curious. That we pitched this to one investor, and he says, "Dude, I got it. You're pitching to the crypto curious Web2 investors." And I was like, "Ding, ding, ding! That is exactly it." And so that just kind of became the avatar. We were calling them the sort of Wall Street wanderers, the E-Trade babies, and the Motley Fools. But they're really the web crypto, the crypto curious Web2 investors who are, they understand it because of the ETFs, and they don't think it's a scam anymore per se, but there's a lot of scams out there, and if you're not careful, you will get hosed in the wrong way.
So what do you think, Trav? Do you want to renew our vows for another year?
Well, I think we got to just keep the train going, man. How can we step away at the precipice of a potential epic bull run like this?
Listen, we've been through two bulls, we've survived two bear markets, and we're gonna ride this next one up, and hopefully we all make some smarter decisions along the way. Because I definitely have targets in mind. I don't need to ride this thing to whatever the peak is. I just refuse to ride down another bear market.
Yeah, tired of that. And this is so interesting when you're paying attention to these different narratives in the AI tokens. There's so many of those that look like they're going to pop off. Real world assets is going to be one of the narratives that are huge as more of these stocks and traditional financial instruments become digitized, right? That's going to be huge. But then most of the people are just degens and spending their money on gambling on the latest meme coin. And it's like, dude, the meme coins have very little utility, most of them. And so
Yeah.
the ones with the best technology, people ignore them because they're like, I don't even understand that, whatever it is, I don't even care. But I'm like, to me, one of the best projects is Internet Computer Protocol. They're doing awesome shit. And it's like the tokens going down because people don't understand it. It's almost like it's too complex for people to get. It doesn't have a funny dog on it or a green frog.
There's a great Twitter account that I like to follow called Coinfessions, and
Oh, yeah.
Twitter X. It's at Coinfessions. This is it right here. I guess I'm following on my other account, and people send in anonymous confessions about their experience in the crypto world, and then they will publish them right here. My parents gave me 5K to invest in Bitcoin. Instead, I put it into Solana. They think they're up 250%, but in fact, it's 1,000%. Not sure if I tell them or keep the profits. Yeah, there's a lot of it's entertaining and sometimes heartbreaking, because some people post, how they've been destroyed by the crypto markets. And so when you play with, altcoins, especially, boy, you're playing with fire, and it's very risky. Bitcoin, the granddaddy of them all, is still a risky, investment. Even though we've crossed into the beginning of the mainstream, it's still risky, and you have to not put anything in that you're not willing to lose at all.
Yeah, we're in a risk tolerant space. Like the crypto is not for the risk averse, right? So you don't see a whole lot of people who are scared of risk up in the crypto game. We're all pretty risk tolerant. And I would say even a lot of the Bitcoin maxis aren't really that risk tolerant. They're like, we're staying on Bitcoin. They believe it. It is what it is. And I think for the folks that have gone through and saw the code and read the code and understand the code, it's like it makes total sense to them. To somebody who doesn't understand all of the code of it. I could look all of it all, and it looks like Greek to me. But we got faith in the system, and it's worked this long. And let's just hope it keeps trucking. Let's hope there's not some nefarious thing behind it all, because that would just be that would be the weirdest thing if that ends up going down that pipe.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. We appreciate you guys. Those of you who are with us from the very beginning, thank you for sticking with us this long. And those of you that we've picked up along the way, you are honorary members of the Republic of Bad Cryptopia. We march forward into this bull market, and I predict that by November, there's going to be a lot of happiness. So the receipts are right here, gang. We'll see if that's what's going to happen, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Yeah. Until then, stay bad. Just like you always have. Do what you always do.
Stay bad for 7 more years.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.